Well, I'm back. Or kind of back. I don't really know how this is going to look right now, but I have been on a 3-month BookTube break. And it wasn't intentional. I had a very good reason. I just didn't feel like it. I wasn't inspired. I wasn't in a reading slump. I was definitely reading and enjoying a lot of things I was reading. I just didn't really feel like talking about it. I didn't feel creative, like I wanted to film it and capture it and discuss it as a group. I didn't feel like it. And look, life is busy. We're all busy. There was a lot going on. And then there was this too, but we'll talk about that a little bit later because we're talking about BookTube right now. So I just wasn't really into it. And there was one particular book that put me in this funk. So I was reading book 4 of the Stormlight Archives, Rhythm of War, and while I started off with book 1, really enjoying the series, and thrilled to do a BookTube series reading each book, I was like super inspired to begin with, but then when I read book 4, I was just miserable. I was miserable. And like, I didn't necessarily hate the book, but I kind of hated it. Like I still rated it 3 stars because I can appreciate some of the complexity. And I actually filmed a lot of footage for that read. And I'll put it here because otherwise it's not going to see the light of day, because I started filming the reading experience, but each book is like 1,000 to 1,200 pages. And I'm like, I just didn't care. It was so complex that I couldn't attach to anything. And I know this series is so beloved by the bookish community, and I was so sad that I didn't enjoy it. And it made me question my taste in books overall. And I'm still kind of questioning it. I'm kind of questioning if I could even enjoy epic or high fantasy. Maybe it's just not the genre for me, but I hate bucketing everything into like a stereotype like that. And so it's hard for me to say that like I never will pick up a fantasy book because it's such a wide range. And so I'm trying to figure out like what I enjoy. So I just had all this going on, and with so much going on in my life, like I didn't want to deal with those questions. If I didn't feel inspired to film a video, then I just didn't. But now I do, and I don't know what this video is going to look like. I really don't. I just have been watching a lot of reading vlogs lately and make me want to get back in the game. So here I am. So I don't know if this will be like a weekend reading vlog or a weekly or just the whole month of February. I'm just going to go with the flow because I'm not in the mindset where I really want to do like structured 2 videos a week, which I did for almost 3 years. I kind of just want to pick up the camera when I feel like it. But actually this weekend I have 3 books that I'm currently reading. And this weekend I just want to hibernate and I want to read books. It has been a stressful like 2 weeks at work. And so I like the escape of reading. And so I'm going to just get some yummy snacks and just bunker down this weekend. And as you saw, I'm reading 3 books. This one is one that I'm really enjoying and I actually feel inspired to talk about. I'm about 100 pages in right now, and this book is, the genre I think technically is like magical realism, which I am suspecting might be my favorite genre of books, quite honestly. Like it could fall in literary fiction, it could fall in fantasy. It's kind of this like in between. It's like magic that could really exist in our everyday life in the world as we know it. This one, this single woman comes home to find a strange man in her house, and it turns out he's her husband. There's pictures all over of them. The decoration is different. Her whole life is different. When he goes up to the attic to get something, a different husband comes down, and everything shifts. And it's kind of fun because this concept could take so many different directions. You could see how this could be a really fleshed out fantasy with the magic involved. You could see how it could become a thriller with this plot and the different men that are in her life and the direction her life takes. She could find herself in some tricky situations. What I love about this and why I picked this up, I had the right expectations. I didn't have expectations of fantasy or thriller. I know that this book is going to focus on the mundane elements, and that's what I wanted to explore. I wanted to explore the concept of like a parallel universe, or how would your life be different if you had made one decision differently. And I love seeing how the different relationships in her life, her career, her body changes depending on the different man she chose to commit to. I think it's very, very, very fascinating. Now, 100 pages in, we've already burned through like 2 or 3 dozen husbands. Like, there's been a lot of men filtering through. And it's kind of funny, the nitpicky reasons she'll get rid of a husband. Like, she doesn't like the way he looks, or he chews with his mouth open, or there's some really funny situations she finds herself in. Like, the things that she has agreed to in this world, this life that she's in, it's just been really funny. But there is a section I wanted to read to you that kind of like captures the book, because I think the right expectations are going to be key to knowing if you would enjoy this. On page 68, Lauren has gotten the hang of things. She realizes what's happening with these men, and she says, the rules of the situation are becoming clearer to her. All of her husbands are men that some version of herself might have chosen to marry, and who might have chosen to marry her. None of them are going to be radically dissimilar from the husbands who have already visited. He will not be an astronaut, or the king of Ruritania, or a man whose great dignity forbids him the use of ladders. He'll just be some guy. These are normal guys that she would have run into in her life, and she would have chosen to date and marry. So you can see how, like, if you go into this book thinking that it's gonna be like some billionaire rock star or CEO or like something like that, you could see like how extreme the story could be, but that's not it. This is much more realistic, but that's exactly what I wanted from it, because I love thinking about fate. I love seeing what elements of her life are the same, which ones change. Like I said, the changes she sees like in her friendships and the relationship with her sister, how their lives have been impacted. Like at one point, someone doesn't have children that had children in like the core universe, right? And so it's like all the subsequent changes that happen just because of who she picked as her husband. Super cool. Really enjoying this. This is the vibe. This is the vibe. And this is like my kind, this is a Jack book right here. This is exactly what I like. I have some other thoughts on the other 2 books I'm reading, but I've already rambled a little bit. I want to get back to reading this one, but I will tell you some other thoughts about, I'm learning a lot about my taste in books, and I'm dying to hear what you guys think. Like, I wonder if you guys would have some recommendations based on some things I'm finding out about myself, but also just thoughts in general. There's just so much going on. I feel inspired, so I'm really happy to be back in this video. It has been a wonderful Saturday morning. It is sunny and warm outside. I'm getting set up to read out here, so I thought it was a great time to do a little bit of a check-in. I wanted to talk a little bit about Onyx Storm and just this series overall, and then also, as promised, I'll give you an update on this and what this is about. Firstly, let's talk about Onyx Storm. Spoiler-free, of course. I am 25% of the way in, and I don't know, guys. I don't know. Fourth Wing, book 1. I loved it. I thought it was really unique. I liked the characters. I liked the plot. I liked the magic. I loved the dragons. I was obsessed. Book 2 was so disappointing. I rated it 2 stars. It was just Violet, the main character. She was so insecure, so whiny. I couldn't stand her. I was rooting for her to get killed off so we could follow anybody else. I just really didn't like it. This one, I kind of echo a lot of the things that I've been seeing on social media. I feel like we're dropped in. It's super chaotic. I don't remember who any of these people are, and while I'm happy that they're getting more page time, I can't connect. I'm having a really tough time connecting to what's going on in this book, and I don't think the author did a good job of leading the reader, because I'm not saying she needs to recap everything from book 2, but like I feel at a disadvantage because I read book 2 like a year ago. It's just a continuation of like the same storyline and conversations, which, duh, that's a sequel, but like trying to describe this in a way that I just feel dropped in. I feel disconnected. I'm having a hard time like getting my footing in this book, and already in book 2 I didn't care. I will say Violet isn't annoying me as much. The relationship isn't annoying me as much. So crossing my fingers that she'll be a little bit more secure in herself. However, the overall plot has really dissolved into like a unidentifiable, just like every other fantasy book where there's like a war going on. And since I'm having troubles getting my bearings with like the characters and like the intricate plot and just having it be so generic and vanilla, I'm not into it so far. So I'll keep going. I am committed to finishing it. I think I've already decided that for books 4 and 5, I'm gonna wait till the series is complete before I read anything else, because it's just so hard to get oriented in this book right now. I wish Rebecca Yarros led us a little bit better into this 3rd book. Again, I'm not sure how to do that. I'm not an author. Like, recapping it wouldn't make sense. You don't want them to tell versus show. So I don't know what I'm asking for. I just mean like, I'm just having a hard time connecting. So that's my impression on Onyx Storm so far, but we'll see how it goes. Now, as far as this, as promised. So my boyfriend and I are taking a very non-traditional path. I love marriage. I think it's wonderful, but I don't think it's the only pathway to happiness. So what my boyfriend and I did is we kind of had lots of conversations about what was important to us. And there's a lot of things within marriage that are lovely that you can have without getting the government involved in your relationship necessarily. So what we looked at is, I really don't want to have a wedding. I've had one before and I don't need it again. I don't want to be that center of attention. I don't want to spend the money. I don't need it. So I don't need a wedding. We don't care about the tax status. Medical insurance, being on the same insurance, isn't a factor for us. Oh, and I'll also call out, I have no interest in changing my name. I think that's something that's really sweet and nice, and especially if you want to have kids, it makes a lot of sense, but it's like my whole career and my identity is under this name. Like, I don't want to change it. So that was something else that wasn't necessarily important to us about like traditional marriage. So there's like a lot of like traditional marriage that like is fine. Like, we don't really care about it. The things that are important to us though, those are things that we can put together on our own. So we can do like power of attorneys, we can set up wills, we can set up legal partnerships that are not necessarily a marriage if we want to share assets. And, you know, something that was important to me, because we already live together, by the way. So we live together, we've lived together for a while. We feel very much like we are family. Our families are intertwined. So what was important to me, something that was important to me was like the traditional symbol of a ring, like the cultural symbol of a ring that shows that you're in a lifelong partnership. That was something that was important to me. And so he surprised me on Christmas and gave me this ring. And so this ring is really to symbolize our lifelong commitment and partnership to each other. I'm still working on like the titles. I keep calling him boyfriend, but like technically it's like partner life partner, significant other. Like it's not like rolling off the tongue as like husband or wife would. But I'm really excited about this and what it means, what it signifies, and just it's like an official like status symbol kind of, you know what I mean? Like everybody knows this means that you're taken, right? And so we have been together 5 years. It was time. It was really about time for it. So I'm over the moon thrilled. And I love how we are making our own rules based on what's important to us. Not necessarily, hey, you've been together 5 years, it's time to get married like everybody else. You know, this is what we want to do. So pretty much this is like the equivalent to us going and eloping. This is our commitment. This is a symbol of our commitment, and that is the big life update, I guess. If anybody has been watching my videos for a while and I was not wearing this, and now I am, that's what it's about, and so happy to make our own rules. So that's the update I promised. I'm gonna go ahead and dive back into this world. Wish me luck, guys. I think I'm gonna need it. As I was referring to discovering more about my reading tastes earlier, when I'm going through Onyx Storm, something else occurs to me. So I've been listening to the audiobook because I like multitasking and things, and also reading it physically. But I wonder if subconsciously the narrators are making me dislike a lot of things in romantasy books. Like maybe the inflections they put into the dialogue are subconsciously like making me not like the female main characters, for example, or I really don't like how the narrator does Xaden's voice when he's talking. So that might have something to do with it. And then I also think since this is so complex, I really need to see it with my eyeballs. So I turned off the audio for a little bit. I'm just gonna focus on the physical, see if I like Violet more, if I like Violet and Xaden's chemistry more, and if I can attach to the plot, the politics, all of that that's going on. So that's what I'm trying right now. I have finished most of the productive things that I had to do today. I worked out, the dogs are worked out, the laundry is laundering, the dishes are done. I still need to do the grocery shopping, but you know, that might be able to wait. I have a little bit of reading update for you, and I also want to talk about something that's been on my mind when it comes to my reading tastes, see if I can articulate it and if I can get some help from you guys. So, first of all, Onyx Storm. I was absolutely correct. Reading it physically with my eyeballs and not listening to it at all is the way to do this. I have always thought, even from book one, the dialogue in this series is the weakest element. It just reads very cheesy, very juvenile. So it's never been my favorite part. Then you add in a narrator who does their own inflections for the voices, and it makes the dialogue worse, particularly between Xaden and Violet, our love interests. It is very cheesy and it's like over dramatized. particularly Xaden, and it makes me hate their chemistry, hate their relationship, and just get an icky feeling with the book. And I do think that has a lot to do with it, my like overall feelings with the book. So put the headphones down for the most part. I mean, I'm still like multitasking. I listened to it while I took the dogs for a walk. But what I am finding is I'm enjoying it more now. And I have also found that where I don't enjoy it is the macro plot. So the war that's going on, the politics that's going on, the characters I'm having a tough time connecting to are like related to that. Like I can't necessarily remember them. And there's like some characters that we check in with and they're dealing with something from the past. I'm like, I don't even remember what happened to you. I'm sorry, bro. I'm so sorry, but I don't know what happened. So the macro plot is where I'm having problems. However, our characters in a group are visiting different locations. And at each location, there's like a subplot or a challenge that is both introduced and concluded in that location. That element I'm very into and I like. So I am thinking this is reading like at a 3-star or a 3.5. And I know everyone on the socials is saying like this blew their mind. It's either like a DNF or like a 2-star, or it's like 5-star, book hangover, can't think about anything else. So I might be one of the rare ones that like falls in the middle. But I don't know if it's going to change how I feel about this overall and the series. Like it is what it is. So I don't know if I'll finish that this weekend. I don't know if I'll have an additional update for you on that. Probably not, because I don't see it changing that much. Similarly, I'm almost done with this book, Two Twisted Crowns, which is book 2 following up One Dark Window in the Shepherd King duology. This is available on Kindle Unlimited, and I'm really enjoying it. Again, I'm almost done. I don't think my rating is going to change that much when I finish it, even though I'm at like a peak moment right now where there's all these plot twists that I didn't see coming. It's like fast paced and action. I love it. I rated the first book 4.5. I'm going to probably rate the second one 4.5 as well. It doesn't really matter how it ends at this point. I've enjoyed the whole journey. The only thing that's dinging it for me is the chemistry between our love interests. So in book 1, I wouldn't say that it was insta-love, but I definitely did not feel the intensity of the relationship. That critique follows through to book 2, except for it's a little bit worse because our love interests are so intense for each other that they're not being very strategic with everything else going around them. It's kind of one of those vibes where it's like, I need to speak with them right now, and I'm not going to worry about anything else going on around me unless I can speak to them right now. And I'm like, okay, you have someone in front of you who has hundreds of years of experience and knowledge, and you're not even going to take them seriously at all. Like, get over yourself. Like, just get over it for a second. It's a little bit juvenile. But other than that, I mean, and that sounds like a huge critique. I just don't like their relationship. I like the individual characters. I love the plot. I love the magic system. It is so refreshing and so unique. There's another relationship that's introduced in this one that I feel the chemistry for. So Rachel Gillig can really write romantic chemistry that I like. It's just not the primary couple that I am on board with. That's fine. Can't please everyone. I still love it. I still absolutely love it. And this brings me to the topic that I wanted to discuss with you, because one reason I love this duology is how refreshing the fantasy elements are. Not just in the magic itself, which with like tarot card magic that gives people different abilities is like really cool to follow along with. I am having a tough time with fantasy. I mentioned it at the beginning when I was talking about Stormlight Archives, and I don't like to stereotype my tastes into like one genre. I don't think that's fair. I think you need to find a way to pinpoint what your reading taste is, what you like and don't like, and it might not carry through to each book. And I'm not saying they're all the same, and it can be nice to have some comfort in the expected and then see what the author does to make it individualized. Like, that can be cool. And look, it's not just fantasy. With romance, you know there's going to be a third act breakup, very likely. And there's probably going to be some element of miscommunication. That's just what you get. Comes with the territory. Just like you can't be mad at a horror book for scaring you. Like, that's what you're signing up for. So with fantasy, for me, I'm kind of sick of reading about war. Like warring kingdoms, battle scenes, the politics that go with it. Normally I like politics because I like the strategy and you get a lot of good plot twists that way and betrayals and allies. So conceptually I like politics, but I'm just kind of sick of like war politics, and I like fight scenes, but I'm kind of sick of battle scenes. And so you see what I'm saying? Like I am contradicting myself all over the place here. That's why it's really hard for me to articulate. But I'm just reading a lot of fantasy lately and it just reads the same. I'm having a tough time. And that's even why I say with Onyx Storm, like the war that's involved, it's very vanilla. I'm not going to remember any of the war thing from any other fantasy book that I've read. It just is very generic, and it's probably just because it's not my thing that I feel like it's generic. But it's tough because I can't say I don't want to read any war fantasy because sometimes it works. I don't know. It definitely depends a lot on the mood. But I am really liking that this is different, and I think this is a really good palette cleanser, which is what I need right now. I need some fantasy that is different, that is outside the normal, you know, corrupt king, corrupt government, we want to overthrow them, there's an oppressed group of people, we're battling, our main character is having moral dilemmas with which side to be on. Like, I need an emphasis, something else that like reads a little bit refreshing. So if you have recommendations for me, can you drop it down below? And if you have any ideas how to articulate what I'm trying to say, I would appreciate it, because this is part of the reason why I took such a break from BookTube, is I'm having a hard time articulating how I'm feeling about what I'm reading. And you know, what is there to talk about if you can't review the books you're reading, right? So kind of having a tough time with that. But that's my little rant, what I wanted to talk about with my reading journey, my reading tastes. I am going to go rot into my books. It's not going to be zen because it's like high stakes, high action with both of these books right now. There's a lot going on, such page turners. I'm not going to want to stop to do any more updates. I know it. This is probably going to be the last you'll hear from me. I'll do B-roll stuff, but I said everything I wanted to say, and my ratings probably won't change for these. I just want to enjoy myself and enjoy the rest of the weekend. So that's what I'm going to do.